Guys, Rollback1 here, coming at you with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today's Yu-Gi-Oh video is basically my 5th and 12th place LLDS deck profile. Now, this weekend I went to two different LLDSs, the Brotherhood one and the Sneak Attack one. I came 5th at the Sneak Attack one because I could have gone further and even won it, but one of my opponents was... My opponent in the top cut was basically really not pleasant to play against, and he just had a lot of tension. And in the last bit of the tournament, where I should have won, where it was time and it was my battle phase, I made the mistake of forgetting to tag out, attempting to tag out my Dark Rebellion or use a Borosword Dragon to change the defense. So I could have come further, but I made the slight mistake of doing that because I was pulled away and stuff, all of that. But this deck performed really well over the past 2 days. It did a lot during them, and I felt like it was, seeing as I came 5th place at one of the LLDSs that I went to, and all of that, I felt like plus 12, I went X2 at both LLDSs. I felt like I performed well at each one. It's just the times I lost, I either were mainly bricking, so I can't really do anything about that, because bricking, you know, the ultimate source of losing in the game is bricking. But every time I didn't brick with this deck, which is obvious, that was 8 times out of the 12, sorry, not 8 times, yeah, 8 times out of the 12, I won. So I felt like it was a good time to show this deck profile to you guys. So now, this is a very different build to my last deck profile, Magicians. It plays really well, to be honest with you guys. It was a great build, but there was some things that I didn't really like about it, obviously because of the bricking issue, and I'll go over those bits in the actual deck profile. Now, the deck did do really well, as I said, seeing as it was able to get me a top 5 spot and also get me 12th, which isn't terrible in LLDS, but obviously it doesn't get me all the way. And both players had over, the Brotherhood one had over 60 players, and the Sneak Attack one had over 40 players. And it was both 6 rounds. But yeah, so it was a good event, and the deck performed really well, so I felt it was a good chance to just show you the deck profile. So for starters, we play Free Harmonizing Magician, very basic in the deck. This allows you to get it to any of your rank 4 plays, to your Odd Eyes Vortex plays, to your Synchro plays. She's standard at 3, I'm not going to go into big detail. Free Wisdom Eye. We play Free Wisdom Eye because he's basically the best magician to have for a scale. Being able to just turn it into either a high or low scale whenever you want really does come in clutch, so you play 3 of him. Free Purple Poison Magician. You play Free Purple Poison Magician basically because it can out like Anti-Spell and Anti-Spell Unending Nightmare, which actually came up quite a bit, and Rivalry, which if I didn't have this card, I would have probably lost against Autogeist. Not the Sneak Attack LLDS, because I was able to pop this with an Electromite and then destroy a Rivalry of the Warlords that was stopping me from being able to play the game. So 3 of this, definitely necessary. From my last build, I cut this down to 2 because I'm playing more sort of engines, and I felt this being at 3 wasn't as necessary as it needs to be. It's a very good card at 3 because it's obviously a high scale magician that can summon magicians from the graveyard, but it just in general, I felt like it being at 2 was a good enough number for it to play. I would never play it at 1, but if I wasn't playing the engine that I was playing at these 2 events, I would have played this at 3. But I never needed the 3rd, so it was all fine. 2 Oath Dragon Magician recycles your extra deck. That's the main point of his thing. And 1 Jiangshi Magician. He's one of the targets that you use to make your Vortex Dragon, so you play him as well. That's the entire Magician engine. Basically, I'm very happy with the ratio I played for Magicians. Like, it worked out very well. I never had problems. Like, I did banish Jiangshi once, but even though I banished it, I was still able to win because all the other things I was playing. So that's the Magicians. For other engines, we played Free Chronograph, 1 Time Gazer, Electromite engine, 3 Dark Worm, 2 Supreme Gate. Dark Worm, something I found in this deck while playing the event was you want to make Vortex a lot. You really do want to make Vortex a lot in this deck, and not being able to get to these cards really does hurt. So it, like, honestly, you want to be playing as many ways to get to these cards as possible. So that's something I just wanted to mention, because it's like this gets you to this, but you need this to make Vortex. And honestly, making Vortex is one of your most important plays if you're going first. If you're going second, it doesn't mean a lot because you just OTK without needing to do it. But outside of that, this comes in clutch. Especially seeing as these can summon from the graveyard to let you summon an Electromite. 2 Curtain Raiser. Because of another engine I'm playing, I cut this from 3 to 2. Really does work. And now the engine that I personally don't really like, but it did work and it kind of didn't, was 3 Mythical Beast Cerberus and 2 Jackal King. Now, personally, I don't like this engine. I hate this engine. It doesn't do enough for me, but in general, when I was playing this engine throughout the tournament, the 2 tournaments, as long as I didn't see an Ash or an Ogre, it was fine. This engine worked so well outside of those times and just won me games because of it. But every time I saw my opponent have an Ash or an Ogre, no matter what happened, I lost. And because of that, I feel like this engine isn't as worth playing. But depending on the next list and everything like that, it will depend. Like, honestly, I lost games just because my opponent ashed me and I couldn't get rid of the Cerberus. So, like, it's a good card in theory, but the fact that you can't Pendulum summon it from the extra deck or just get it in general. Even when you draw it, or you can't even use its effect if you've got a card in the other scale. It's just a brick in my opinion, and I would prefer not to run it, but I felt like for this event, I would try it, and in general, without the hand traps and stuff, it works really well, but if you get hand trapped, the card really does hurt you a lot. So I'm debating if I want to carry on running Cerberus, but in general, it was like a 50-50 shot. Like, if I got ashed, it hurt. If I didn't, it was great. Like, I have no big complaints about the card. Also, this card, I would still play this card no matter what, even if I didn't play Cerberus, just because having the additional negate is broken. Then finally for monsters, we played 2 Ash Blossom. I felt like playing hand traps in Magicians was worth it, just because if you were forced to go second and you drew the Ash Blossom, say against something like Dinosaurs, which I played against, because I played against pretty much every meta deck in the format. I played against the Pure Sky Striker, I played against Sky Striker's Trickstar, I played against Goki, I played against Dinosaurs, I played against the Mirror, I played against Ultgeist, and honestly, I felt like just maining the Ash Blossom for those chances, for those times when you don't, when your opponent has a card that you really need to negate, such as a Spoofing for Ultgeist, a Pendulum Call for Magicians, a Evolution Pill for Dinosaurs. This card really does come in clutch, so I felt like playing this at 2 was really worth it for the event, for the 2 events that I went to. 2 Pendulum Call because searches 2 Magicians. 2 Desires because it gives me a +1, and that actually does help. It can hurt when I banish like Zhangxi or Time Gazer and stuff, but outside of that, the card really does work. 2 Dragon Shrine and 1 Foolish Burial to send the Dark Worms to grave, which is really important, as I said before, because you really want to make Vortex turn 1 most of the time. So really good card. And for the last spell, we played 1 Star Pendulum Graph, and honestly, for the first event I've played this since we lost like Double Iris Magician, this card came in so clutch. Just being able to search any magician by using a Wisdom Eye effect, by linking away a Time Gazer and something else to make an Electromite, it really did come in clutch. Being able to just give you that additional search for, say, a Harmonizing Magician or another Wisdom Eye or a scale that could help you build your board really did come in clutch. And honestly, I would probably play this more and more as I go along, because this card was just so clutch. Plus, having the additional effect to stop your spellcasters from being targeted by spell cards is even better, because it gets around like the Sky Striker stuff that really does get annoying. So yeah, that's the main deck. Honestly, the main deck, personally, outside of the Mythical Beast engine, I had no real issues with the deck. I bricked a few times, sure, but every time I bricked, I was able to establish a board that could somewhat play the game, except for one time when when I opened all 3 of my level 7s and Ash, Blossom, and Harmonizing, which just stopped me from being able to play the game in general. But outside of that, I honestly felt like this deck was really good, and honestly, if I was to change anything, I'd probably put Duelist Alliances back in for the instead of the Mythical Beast engine. But in general, the deck played really, really well for the main deck. So that's the main deck. I'll do the extra deck first because obviously extra deck is great. So obviously the Brotherhood token because the Brotherhood is the best locals. But for extra deck we played one Wee Witch's Apprentice, laddies. We played the Wee Witch's Apprentice because basically, if you get Ibbed or if you get Reapered, you still have a link 2 that you can make to summon out any of your monsters into the 2 down pointing arrows. So just having that additional resource to be able to summon multiple monsters out of the extra deck, and even if you get Reapered, it comes in clutch a lot. So I felt this was the best good choice in my opinion. Plus it's a spellcaster, so if they rivalry you, you can just summon this instead, and then you can just still carry on with all your link plays, your pendulum plays. 2 Electromite, never need a third, honestly. 2 is more than enough in my opinion. I never go into a third unless the second, like, the only time I go into second is if it goes late game, or if I get ogred and I need to make the second Electromite to somewhat play the game, to, like, make the scales and stuff. So, this was good. 1 Decode, honestly, the best choice, in my opinion, for the Link 3 in the deck, because this card, being able to stop targeting, really does come in clutch. Like, honestly, if your opponent has any effect that targets, and you've already used your 2 negates that are pointing to it, then you can just tribute one of the negates that are useless, and then, such as an FA or an Arito, and then just negate that card so you still have all your resources. So, and that's just insane in my opinion. So, this is really good. Plus, it has OTK potential, because it keeps boosting its own attack. So if you have like the Trapeze Magician and this, it's like instant game. So yeah, we play 1 Decode Talker, 1 Boral Load because still give me your stuff is always really nice. 1 Boral Sword. This card, whenever I summon this card, I won the game. The only time I didn't was obviously, as I said earlier, in the 1 match for my LLDS sneak attack, where I came 5th in the top cut, where my opponent was just really annoying. We hit top cut and I just couldn't, and I just made the single misplay because he had a Shizuku. I gave him a Kaiju and he had an Alistair Link, and all I needed to deal was a bit of damage, but he impermanenced my Dark Rebellion, and because of that, I couldn't play the game because of literally it was ruled as first blood instead of end of phase, and because of that I lost. But I honestly don't care about that because it was an unpleasant game to play anyway, so I'm not too fussed about losing that. But yeah, Boral Sword, every time I summoned it, I won the match. So a broken card in general. 1 Dweller for Goki comes in very clutch. I like my games against Goki, I summon this and they just lose because they can't gain more resources of their Gokis, so I just end up killing them. 1 Tornado Dragon. Good card in general, just being able to MST anything away, such as like a dart, an anti-spell, rivalry, just relevant back row that your opponent has, or like a Trickstar light stage or reincarnation, stuff like that. Very good. 1 Dark Rebellion equals game because of like when you attack with it, you can literally just go, detach, it must become 0, I gain all your attack. Just a game-ending card. Plus, being able to tribute it off in the battle... well, not tribute it off, put it back in the extra deck during the battle phase to summon like 2 Dark Worms from the extra deck can come in clutch because it will allow you to essentially make another XC, such as Dweller or Tornado Dragon, to have that a bit of resource during your opponent's turn. So, does come in handy. 1 Trapeze, because as I said, it equals game a lot of the time. It lets me OTK a lot, just giving extra attacks to monsters. 1 Naruto, because more spell and trap negate is good. 1 Absolute to summon the Vortex. 1 FA, because it's basically another Naruto that I make almost every time, because I'm just going to show you a quick board that I should be ending on. The majority of the time, I will end on a board like this, with the negates. Like, I'll normally end on a board like this, with negates. Like, this is the board that I 90% of the time should be ending on, and every time I end on this board I win the game, because this is essentially 5 negates. 1 negate from Vortex, 1 negate from FA, 1 negate from Jackal, and then 2 negates from Decode. So this is just a 5 negate board that I was able to make thanks to like the deck in general. But yeah, so 1 FA, which comes in clutch. Honestly, the FA really does help. Plus, it does piercing damage, which helps in time as well when it's getting really close to time. 1 Supreme King Clearwing, Raigeki on legs, did win me games as well. And 1 at Odai's Vortex Dragon, because of being able to negate things, is just broken. But yeah, the extra deck was very good in general. I didn't have any problems with the extra deck. Like, I felt like it was the right ratio for everything. I made everything more than once, I believe. Like, everything but maybe the Dweller, because I only had 1 Goki matchup, and I lost that because I bricked game. I beat him game 1. He extra linked me game 2, and then game 3 I just completely bricked with a Dark Worm, Zero Gate, Jackal King, Ash Blossom, and Star Pendulum Graph, which was just honestly really bad luck on my part. But in general, the extra deck was nice. I always made everything at least once, and it was all really useful in general. So that was the extra deck, and for side deck, we have 3 Denko Sekka, basically for auto guys, Sky Striker, Trickstar, anything that would set cards. I put this in just because of like being able to stop the opponent from essentially activating their reincarnations, their Sky Striker cards, their traps in general. Really does come in clutch, and if you summon this, majority of the time you're going to win the game, because you're just going to go ahead and OTK your opponent. So that's really useful. 2 Kaijus, 2 Kumungus. I run this Kaiju over Gamasil because it's a level 7 and gives me access to Vortex a lot easier. Plus, it's got a slightly bigger attack as well, which lets me do more damage with Dark Rebellion as well, which is really nice. 2 Twin Twister, came in, obviously trap hate, spell hate, everything like that, goes in against like anything that runs a lot of traps. 2 Evenly Match, because it's evenly matched, clear your board, going second, die please. 3 Red Reboot for those trap decks so I can just OTK them, and then 3 Impermanence for stuff like Gokis and other decks that I feel like really need to be stopped. But yeah, guys, that's the deck. Honestly, through the 2 events I went to, I didn't really lose to myself, other than that 1 game in the top cut because of my opponent, plus the TO pulling me away, and I forgot about the Shizuku. But in general, I felt like the deck performed really well. It worked really well. Outside, like every time I played the deck, there was not really any problems with the deck. It played fantastic. Like, honestly, the only bad thing was the Mythical Beast, because of if I drew it when I had full scales or anything like that, it just came in. It just didn't really do anything. But outside of times like that, the deck performed really well, and I felt like the deck was a good choice to play for these 2 events. But yeah, that's the deck profile. Thanks for watching, guys. I honestly, if I want to say shout out to anyone, I would have to say shout out to my mate Lewis, because he was the one who provided me with 2 of my Cerberus, because I sold my Cerberus, 2 of my Cerberus, so I only had 1. But in general, guys, this deck was really good. It performed really well, and I don't know if I'm going to still play the Mythical Beasts here throughout, but it was a good deck in general. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Tell me what you think of my deck profile in the comment section below. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if you think if coming 5th means nothing, coming 12th definitely means nothing on LLDS. But I felt like this deck performed well enough for me to show you it. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Don't forget to tell me what you think of the deck profile in the comment section below. Your thoughts and opinions. Thoughts on Mythical Beast. Do you think I should keep him? Do you think I should get rid of him? And yeah, if you liked the video, don't forget to press the like button. If you want to subscribe to my channel for more videos, don't forget to press the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified of any videos I do or streams that I do, usually at 8 PM UK time, don't forget to press the notification button as well. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, as I said, and I will see you guys next time. Magicians are the best deck. Later, guys. Robot1, signing out.